Okay, hello YouTube. This is going to be a video on, actually a follow-up video mainly on the comedian I told you about, and a possible suggestion that he might even have perhaps some form of personality disorder for a number of reasons. But beyond that, or furthermore, it's also going to be a video on coronavirus, and I don't really have a lot to say about that because I don't know what really else to say. I guess I'm just trying to play. Let's play a game of how many videos can I make about genital mutilation in a pandemic, because that seems to be a common theme here lately. But anyways, there's that. I'm going to talk a little bit towards the end about Bernie Sanders, and why I hope he still has a chance, or why I think maybe he can still win the election. And that's going to be about it, basically. But anyways, about the coronavirus, I'm going to start with that. I don't really have a lot to tell you other than I support the Yang Gabbard proposal or proposed economic assistance, basically putting money directly into the hands of middle class and working families. And of course, middle class is kind of an oxymoron. I mean, it's pretty much over now anyways. I don't know how many middle class people there even are still left. It's largely lower class people. Some are just poorer than others, but nevertheless, basically, I support giving every adult $1,000 and every child $500. I'm not sure how they came to the conclusion of who gets paid what, other than I guess the adult has to manage the money. But then why wouldn't you just give the 500 to the adult? I don't understand. But anyways, I support that, and I think Sanders also advocated for that, or something similar. So I support that. And other than that, just all I know to tell you is. And again, there's not much to talk about because all they do is talk about the freaking coronavirus. But all I know to tell you is don't be too worried about it. And if you have symptoms or you show symptoms, don't go around other people, especially people you care about. And don't go around anyone that you think might have the disease. Don't go around people that might have the disease. It's for animals, especially small dogs and cats, who are smaller, and I would imagine how small the animal is will affect it. Be very careful around your animals. Don't let them be around someone with a disease, and if you think you have it, don't go around them. I know it's tough. We all like to be around our animals, especially when we're sick or something. I've had a little bit of flu recently. I've been doing a lot of sleeping. That's the reason I've not been making as much videos until recently. But still, you have to, and I like being around my dog also, but still you need to, if you think you have the coronavirus, you need to stay away from your dogs or your cats. And that's all I have to say really about that. As for the other video, I would really entertain the ideal that the person I was talking about, far removed even from the circumcision issue, I would question whether or not this person has some kind of mental issues or personality disorder, because I've talked to people who could be very rude, and I really did try to engage this individual in a conversation. I wasn't trying to be outwardly disrespectful, maybe a tad bit too abrasive, but I wasn't being rude. I wasn't calling him anything. And I've dealt with people who are kind of aggressive and rude before. But I've never dealt with anyone that, like, they're always deflected. They're always trying to spin the issue and make it out to be something about you, or they're trying to do that. This is the first individual I think I might have ever dealt with who literally doesn't even respond to what you're saying. It's just a constant barrage of insults. And like I even pointed out, for example, that some children, probably 100 a year roughly, die in America roughly every year. Sometimes it's under 100. Sometimes it's more than 100. And they're in it. Usually, very rarely will it drop below 50. It fluctuates between 50 and 120 children who die from the disease every year. Well, not disease, but die from the procedure of circumcision. Every year they die. Usually it's between or around 90 to 120. It's usually around the 100 number. Number of 100 children die a year from genital mutilation, male genital mutilation, or circumcision. So I tried to engage him on that, and he basically called me a dummy and said that that's foreign countries. And then I said, this isn't debatable. That's a documented fact. It's between 50 and 120 children, or around 100, roughly around 100 children die every year from circumcision in America, in medical conditions, not even religious rituals. And that's a fact. In America, in medical settings, Between 50 to 120 children will die in any given year. Possibly, usually, like I said, it's around 100 roughly. That's how many children die from this. And it is a serious issue. And again, you weren't simply making jokes. It's an issue of, he seemed to me to be, again, he's defending genital mutilation. And that will come across to other people as an endorsement. And that will affect children that are being born and can die. And again, it's not even an adult issue, really, but there are adults who are not circumcised, even though this is a circumcising culture. I'm circumcised even. But there are adults that aren't, and they probably don't want to hear somebody make fun of them and talk about them needing a surgery. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't want that either. And again, I asked a simple question, and we can't get an answer. And he even suggested someone is a men's rights activist, because I mean that's really bad. Men don't deserve rights. And I realize there are different variations of men's rights activists, and I don't like some of them either. Some of them come across as basically being fascist. I've seen them before, and they don't seem like they even support men's rights. But nevertheless, he even accused someone of being a men's rights activist or something of that scenario. And that's not true, because I've talked to and seen a lot of intactivists who are strange even from my point of view, because all they do is talk about circumcision. I'm not like that about anything, whether it be circumcision or anything else. Because if you only talk about circumcision, or you only talk about drag queens, and I defend the rights of LGBTQ people, drag queens, drag children, I defend their rights. I talk about a lot of different things. Or even something like animal rights, then you risk becoming a caricature, or they try to make you into a cartoon. Like, they label you that. And I don't want to be labeled that. I don't want to be labeled the weird guy who talks about dick mutilation and dicks all the time. I don't want to be labeled that. I don't want to be labeled the drag queen guy, or the guy, here comes the animal rights person, he's going to throw blood on us, the vegan, here comes a crazy vegan. Again, I don't need that. And also, there's so much going on in the world, it's really hard to only talk about one thing. And that's why it makes it more difficult for me to make videos as of late, because all you're hearing about really is that stupid freaking coronavirus. And I mean, there's a lot of issues, but the point is, it's not really, there are people that talk about nothing but circumcision. I forgot where I was even at, but it's an issue of largely children's rights. And again, if I was a man, I wouldn't want to hear that. Oh yeah, here it is. I think this is what I was going to say. If you are a woman, and he was talking about labia in the procedure of labiaplasty that adult women usually have, in part because they often have negative physical effects from labia. You still would not joke about that, is my point. You wouldn't be joking about that. You wouldn't be making humorous comments. And if you did, women might walk out. They might become angry, upset. He might not be able to work that fucking show again. And he probably shouldn't, if that's the case. If you would just give me a minute to even see where I'm going with this. And I feel as if though men should be the same way. If it's not funny to joke about an adult woman having a genital procedure, why is it funny to joke about children having a procedure forced on them that they don't even need? When there's no evidence they need it, they're not medically needing it. And right now, the coronavirus, if there's anything good about it, one good thing is it's postponed circumcisions, because it is not an essential procedure. It's not something you need to have done. Okay. I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that, but it's true. But again, why is it females can get up and just walk out, but a man cannot? Why is it men? And again, this really did not come across to me as a comedy act. It's largely someone giving an opinion. And that's where a lot of this comes across. He wasn't making jokes about circumcision. There was this sense of, and to me, shaming of males. And I want to leave it there. But he is possibly someone with a personality disorder. And he actually made his video private, by the way. So that's interesting. But anyways, beyond that, and getting past that, about the Bernie Sanders issue, so I can feel like I've done something today other than talk about the coronavirus and comedians talking about cocks, or arguing with comedians about cocks. I want to feel like I've actually said something of importance today. So let's talk about Bernie Sanders, who I saw in a video. I didn't see the video, but I saw the title. It says he is, I think, fiercely challenging Biden to a debate. So he wants to further debate Biden, and he's not dropping out yet. He's the only one that hasn't. He seems to be the most consistent person that really is in this election to win it. And I support that and respect that. The other two candidates, Yang and Gabbard, dropped out, and they both supported Biden. Something I was disappointed in. I didn't think they would do that, particularly with Gabbard, as long as she was in the election. or the primaries rather. But basically Sanders is not dropping out, and now they also have renewed allegations against Biden, from what I'm seeing, at least from where it was trending on my Twitter page, of sexual harassment. And of course, he's known as the guy who largely runs around sniffing women. And this, the media does not do enough covering of this. Is particularly or especially when, from my understanding, they spent 3 days largely talking about Bernie Sanders supposedly once saying a woman cannot run the country. So you talked all that about that, and I'm not sure if he said that or what the deal was, but you will talk about that and report that news story, but you won't report Joe Biden literally having a sexual harassment allegation against him. And this in the era of Me Too, with all these other people, Weinstein, Cosby, and all these people going to prison and so forth and so on. You're not even going to talk about Joe Biden. And that's a problem with the Me Too movement. And that's also the problem with feminism, as I have talked about before. And it is a political narrative and agenda, and it's not always even identity politics. In this case, you have a man who feminists, or at least establishment feminists in the media and media personalities and news organizations are trying to back or are backing when he's smelling women, he's being accused of sexual harassment. Other people have talked about him engaging in this behavior, and no one says anything about it. Bush Sr. is dead now, of course, and I don't particularly like to bring up old shit from about a dead guy, but he was known for slapping women on the ass for some reason. No talk, again, no one talks about that. They're very selective with who they want to talk about because it's an establishment, corporate-driven agenda, banking-driven agenda to get across what they want, and they don't like Sanders, so they will talk about what he does, and they had a very biased against him narrative from the beginning, including people like Rachel Maddow, who's supposed to be on the left, but was against Biden, or I mean against Sanders, rather, I'm sorry, but supported Biden because he's the more electable. And meanwhile, he's talking about guys from 50 years ago named Corn Pop, smelling women, being accused of sexual harassment, and literally doing everything but saying he once met the Trix rabbit. I mean, literally, how can this guy be your fucking nominee? He is literally a senile shell of his former self that Matt had engaged in perverted, illegal, sexually illicit behavior in the past. What the fuck more do you need to know? So Sanders might still, in the end, after all, come out of this the winner or have a chance of winning. And I honestly think he's the only one that can probably beat Trump. I think he could beat Trump. And Biden, again, for the people like Gabbard or Yang or anyone else that wants to support Biden, that likes Sanders or like them or like those people, explain to me how you can put your support or endorsement behind a guy who doesn't support universal health care, doesn't support Medicare or different Medicare or health care reform, doesn't support raising the minimum wage or universal living wage, doesn't support the efforts to give economic relief to families affected by the coronavirus, is not anti-war in the way that, particularly in the way that Gabbard was, doesn't want to end these wars, supported war, was the member of a presidential cabinet, the Obama administration, that in my opinion was almost as pro-war as Bush's cabinet was, and his policies, foreign policy, was largely an extension of the Bush foreign policy, and so on and so forth. He doesn't support legal marijuana. He doesn't have a history, really particularly good history of voting on any of this. So why would you, a Sanders supporter, a Yang supporter, a Gabbard supporter, even an Elizabeth Warren supporter, any of you people, then go and support a Joe Biden? It makes no sense, and it's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous. So anyways, that's my point of view, whatever, and that's my opinion. Again, it's just my opinion, and I'm willing to admit I can be wrong, unlike some people. And Mike Cannon, cough, cough. Anyways, of all the coughing I do, somehow I just couldn't cough then. Anyways, the point is, and I would also like to say this, while I will have a conviction to my beliefs until the day I die, even if it kills me. If, say, a number of you said that a number of people that support me and a number of people that agree with me for some reason said they supported circumcision. Okay, and I had even people that are my friends or followers on the internet, and I do have some, believe it or not, at least kind of, and they wanted to support that or say they support that. Do you not think that I would have the balls to man up and say, maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. No, don't get me wrong. I would never say I'm wrong just because a bunch of people disagree with me. I'll Christ it out. I'll go fucking out, dead. I'll die for, my beliefs. I don't give a damn what you say. I don't fucking believe it's okay to tie down and mutilate their genitals. I see no proof or scientific fact that says to me it is. And when I see that fact, I'll agree it is. I have seen no facts that say that because there is none. It's an insane, primitive, barbaric, medieval, insane ideology from a fucking religion of desert dwelling people that didn't know anything about science or modern medicine or health or anything else from thousands of years ago. And it was largely carried over and written in a book, and that's the only reason we still do this shit. And that's the truth. And it was turned into first a way of stopping people from masturbating for religious reasons, and then it was turned into a bunch of junk science to stop health issues, supposedly because it was easier to clean. Like, that's hard to clean, or like you need to tell someone to clean that of all things. And then it was turned into a cosmetic procedure that we're still doing to infants and forcing on infants, and that's all it is. And I would like to take this opportunity to also to say, by the way, don't pierce your daughter's ears. I think that should be illegal until their daughter or your daughter is old enough to say she wants her ears pierced. And there are children that have had problems with their ears growing, their ear piercings and things growing a certain way. So I don't support that, but make no mistake about it, that is different from genital mutilation. And I don't think that's okay. But if enough people said it was, you don't think I could say that maybe I was wrong? Hell, I'll say maybe I'm wrong now about that or anything else, because maybe I am wrong. I don't fucking know. But then you have people like this Mike Cannon individual who will not accept the suggestion that he might be wrong. And he more or less even admits that he is wrong and doesn't care. I mean, that's just pure ignorance. And that's one of the things destroying our country and pulling us back into the dark age right now. And no one can come together in any basic fucking scientific minded, logical, factual basis or platform to move the country forward or to be progressive, to progress. No one wants to do that. And it's sad and it's a fucking shame, but that's where we're at. Anyways, P666. Oh yeah, sorry for ranting, P666.